Well, obviously, we're very excited to be back home in McCamish Pavilion and open it up against one of the top teams in the country in the University of Tennessee. Sunday, November 11th, at 2 o'clock was when we're scheduled to tip off and the new season with 8 returning letter winners and 3 starters back, and a freshman class ranked as high as 5th in the country. We've played 2 close scrimmages against 2 Division I teams, which we've had tremendous success, and we've seen found out a lot about our team in those 2 games, and very excited to get on the floor officially and open up McCamish Pavilion.
Coach, a few weeks back when you were talking about the newcomers, the topic was defense, as it always will be with new players in a system where defense is central to what you want to do. How much progress has that group made on that side of the ball?
Well, I'm really excited about the depth we're going to have on this team eventually down the road, especially on the defensive end. Our freshmen are so long and athletic that a lot of mistakes they make on the defensive end, they're able to make up with their athleticism. In a couple of the scrimmages we've seen, we've averaged 20 steals in the 2 games, and I think that's based on just our athletic ability, not necessarily being in the right place at the right time, but just being able to cover and make up for mistakes with our athleticism. But I am seeing tremendous improvement. I think the biggest area of growth is going to be in our post game as far as post defense. I think for young players playing in the post, that's one of the most difficult and challenging things for a coach to teach is post defense. And athleticism makes up for a lot. There's one thing it doesn't make up for, and that's experience. And that's one of the things that it's going to take some time is our post defense. But our full court defense, our presses, our pressure defense, our traps, our freshmen are really starting to understand the system and understand how to anticipate when things are going to happen on the defensive end.
What's the scouting report on Tennessee? What do you expect to see from them?
Well, I expect to see a very similar style of play as far as pressure defense, full court, 94 feet, pressing, trapping, being aggressive, overplaying the ball. That's been the signature of Tennessee basketball for as long as I can remember. And I don't see, I've seen 2 of their exhibition games, and I don't see anything much different. I think the biggest difference for them right now is that, just like us, they lost 4 or 5 starters a year ago, and they have 6 freshmen as well. So I think it's a very good matchup for us early in the season. We're excited about the opportunity. We're excited about the fan support that we're expecting here on Sunday. And again, we're expecting a first ever sellout in women's basketball here at Georgia Tech. And I think that's going to be a key for that game, because I think both these teams are very evenly matched at this point in the season.
With the large crowd, and I know it's been a struggle for you to get crowds in here for the games, how important will it be for your team to play well to keep those crowds coming back?
Well, obviously it's going to be very important, but I think one of the things that our fans will always appreciate is how hard we play. They know for 40 minutes when they show up, whether there's 200 people here or 10,000, we're going to give you everything we have. We've always done that for the last 9 years, and I don't see anything different with this team. In fact, I think this team is probably one of my most exciting teams to watch that I've seen since I've coached at Georgia Tech. They can do so many things athletically. Sometimes I'm surprised by what they do. In the past, I had to run a lot of plays to get shots. Now I have players that can go get shots for themselves. And I think that's one of the biggest differences in this team versus the other teams that I've had in the past.
Just from a personal level, to have Tennessee come in here and Pat Summitt not be involved, what's that going to be like? And is there emotion even on your guys' side about that?
Well, I think it's interesting. 2 years ago we played Tennessee in the Virgin Islands, and so I've had the opportunity to coach against Pat and coach against Tennessee, and it was a great experience for our program and our players at that point. But to know the significance of having Tennessee at Georgia Tech, 10 years ago, I don't know that we could have lured them into committing to coming here and playing. So I think it's a huge compliment to our program and to our players. And, just the fact that when we scheduled this, we were hopeful and obviously expected Pat Summitt to be the coach. And, obviously that has changed since then. But It's not much changed as far as, we still have tremendous respect for that program and what it represents and what it signifies. And I'll always have respect for Pat Summitt and what she's done for the game of women's basketball. But I think it'll be a sentimental game just because it is the home opener and it is in a new arena. And it's the first time our team's going to take the floor and going against a top team in the country. I think there's always going to be a lot of emotion involved. And I do think the atmosphere is going to be unbelievable, exciting, and I think that you're going to see two teams really get after and play extremely hard for 40 minutes.
I imagine with this game the media attention is going to be larger than you're normally used to. How important is that for the program?
Well, interestingly enough, now, 6 years ago, I probably would have said, yeah, you're right. It's totally a different environment for us. But after playing the Sweet 16 last year and being exposed to Baylor, the eventual national champion, and Tennessee was in that region, and along with Kansas and ourselves, we've been there, done that now. This is not a program that's at the beginning of the building process. We're a team that we've established ourselves nationally. I mean, we're a top 20 program. We've been in the NCAA tournament 6 years in a row. We've now been to the Sweet 16, finished as the 10th ranked team in the country. So we've experienced that atmosphere. We can't use those things as excuses. We're no longer at the bottom of the ACC. We're challenging for a championship year in and year out. So, for me, I'm not even thinking about the outside things. What I'm thinking about right now is what's going to happen between the lines, and I think that's what our players are focused on. Hopefully, we'll do what we do every single day. We go to practice, is we'll step between the lines and go to work, and we block everything else out. So, I don't see this as being much different than preparing for an ACC game or an NCAA tournament game.
Maybe better said, how does it affect locally? I know you get the national support, but what about the local support?
Well, I'm excited to see what the city of Atlanta and the local media will do with this opportunity, with Tennessee coming in and possibly making history with the first ever sellout in women's basketball at Georgia Tech, and having an opportunity for us to come in and make a statement nationally right here in Atlanta as far as playing a perennial power in women's basketball on our home court, and we're going to be very competitive. I mean, it's going to be a very hard-fought battle. But I'm anxious to see too the support that we'll get from our fans, from our alumni, from the students here at Tech. This is, you go out and you want to bring the best teams in, so your fans and the people that support your program can enjoy it, and the people in the city of Atlanta. Well, here's your opportunity to see two of the top 20 programs, the first game of the season, in a brand new arena. And it's up to them to take advantage of the opportunity to get out here on Sunday and help us sell this arena out and have our first ever sellout.
Ty Marshall developed since the end of last season?
It's interesting. Ty is playing with so much poise and confidence. She makes everyone around her better every time she steps on the floor. And last week during practice, I had to stop a drill because she goes so hard all the time that by February, at times, if you look at her stats, she's burnt out for a week or two in February because she never takes a play off. And I don't mean games, I mean in practice. And, every day I try to point out to our freshmen that if you want to be an all-ACC type player, you want to lead your team in scoring 2 years in a row as a freshman, as a sophomore, then you have to go as hard as Ty Marshall. And every year she's elevated her game. I think right now the greatest improvement I've seen is in her poise. She doesn't get rattled. She doesn't get upset. She makes plays. I've played her limited minutes in both scrimmages, because right now these two exhibition games weren't as important as long term and what's going to happen over the next couple months. And she's ready. I mean, she can play the 1 through 4. She's our point forward. She can play multiple positions. The team wants to press us, she can bring the ball up at the 4 position. If somebody wants to guard her with a smaller guard, then she can post them up. She's very versatile. She can shoot the 3. She can put the ball on the floor and beat you off the bounce. I mean, she just does so many different things. And I think she's one of the top 5 defenders in the ACC because of her effort and her athleticism. So she means a lot to this team. There's no doubt. I mean, she's our nucleus. She's the person we're building this program around. And the other players have responded in a real positive way in her supporting cast. I mean, Dawn May, I think, is our most improved player at this point. Having the ball in her hands, I didn't know if we could replace Mimi Walthour, who's been our point guard for 4 years, but Dawn May is a point guard totally different from Mimi Walthour in the fact that she can make plays offensively and defensively. She's just a catalyst for us. We're so much quicker with the ball in her hands. So with the speed and quickness that we have on the perimeter, it's going to be interesting to see how our post players, how we're able to bring them along as far as our transition game.